You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Outright hostility. Federal judge unloads on Trump in blow to administration. Based on an article by Nick Hilden. Courts are naming the racism Trump's bureaucracy tried to hide. The power was not ambiguous. The source story is about a federal judge in Ohio blocking the Trump administration's freeze on immigrant benefit applications after finding evidence of racist intent in Trump and JD Vance's own public statements. That is the factual center. Everything else is the administration trying to launder ideology through paperwork, delays, and bureaucratic language. Who did what? This was not some drift or clerical mishap inside USCIS. The opinion says the policies were developed and implemented by USCIS and DHS under Trump's direction, and that they indefinitely paused final decisions on applications from people from certain countries. That is state power being used to punish nationality itself. The decision-makers were not confused. They were selecting targets. The cover story collapsed. The administration reached for shifting or post hoc rationales because the real rationale was already on the record. Trump and Vance had publicly signaled hostility toward non-white immigrants, including the grotesque poisoning the blood rhetoric and the pet-eating lies about Haitians. When courts have to read politicians' own words back to them as evidence of intent, the problem is not a lack of proof. The problem is that the cruelty was never subtle. Bureaucracy as weapon. The point of this kind of policy is not only exclusion, it is attrition. Freeze the applications, stall the work permits, block the green cards, and let families, jobs, education, and medical research absorb the damage while the state pretends to be merely processing. The judge's finding of irreparable harm matters because it names what bureaucratic racism often depends on: harm delivered slowly enough for officials to deny responsibility. The pattern is familiar. This is not just one anti-immigrant policy losing in court. It is a recurring Trump-era method. Announce the prejudice openly, wrap it in administrative procedure, then claim legality once the consequences land. Courts can sometimes stop the machinery, but they do not build the machinery. The machinery comes from political actors who want state institutions to treat racial hierarchy as governance. Democratic power means saying the quiet part loud. The larger lesson is not that the system politely corrected itself. It is that the system had to be forced, again, to recognize that immigrant exclusion was being driven by overt racial hostility. That is the standard now. One faction tests how far the state can be made to serve authoritarian ethnic sorting, and the institutions lag behind until judges drag the truth into daylight. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article. With the automated voice of Lesak, thanks for listening.